Hey guys, happy hump day. Certified high performance coach Trisha Turns. How's the week going? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel like you're running around? So something that came up today in one of my coaching calls was about your state. And this is really important, so I just hear me out, and if you want to take notes, certainly take notes. And if this resonates with you, please comment in the comments section so that I know this is something that you actually are listening to. But you can't change your state, or you can't master time without mastering first your state. And it's so, every time I see it, I'm just reminded over and over and over again with clients, how important the clarity part is and how important the energy part is. And there's a reason. The program that I run is science-backed and proven. And that's something that I think a lot of people fall short of, is finding a program that's actually got some statistics to it, some actual proof to it. But this does. And the order and the way that it's a 90-day program. I have one call per week. It's not every other week for a reason. It's not once a month for a reason. It's every week for a reason, because it's all been tested. And there's a couple of things that come before we even get to the productivity part. And even though that's what I promote, because that's why we're here, is to become more productive, to have more time freedom, to have more location freedom, to have more financial freedom, which requires you to show up on your A game when it comes to your to-do list. Right? But what happens before the to-do list is that you're creating a to-do list that is important to you, right? That you're not just creating a to-do list based on all the shit that's flying around. If you were in space, and this is what I picture when I picture somebody that's overwhelmed. I picture you being in space, floating, right? And there's these things all around you that are also floating, right? Because there's no gravity. And that's what an overwhelmed state feels like, because there's all these balls up in the air and they're all kind of floating. But what people forget about is that if you're not clear and you're not working on things that are important to you and that are important to what the next 5 years looks like for you, then you're going to feel what? A lack of momentum. You're going to feel unmotivated. So if you want to master your time, you have to master your state first. You have to master where you are physically, emotionally, how you feel about what the things are that you're doing. Are you doing things that you're passionate about? Are you working on things that are actually moving the needle for something that you see yourself doing 5 years down the road? If you don't see yourself doing the things that are 5 years down the road that you're doing right now, then why are you doing them? That's probably why you're not motivated, right? So there's this disconnect between having to do things, what do we have to do, and who do we have to be, and what's our state like? What's our energy like? What's our clarity like? Because in the program, like I said earlier, the 90-day program, it's clarity and energy that we talk about first. Because if you can't bring your A game on in terms of your physical and mental vibrancy, and you can't show up and be in control of your mood on a regular basis, if you can't show up and be able to know when you are most energetic, when you are least, and be able to manage how you communicate to people. If you can't do all the energetic stuff, if you can't get enough sleep, if you can't drink enough water and be hydrated and actually keep your physical self, if you can't stand up straight and you're constantly slouched, there's things about physiology and energy that need to be hammered down before we start going into what needs to be done productively. Because if you don't have the headspace to even go into the things that are going to be productive for you and actually knock off some to-do things, how are you ever going to do it at your utmost? Right? If you're overwhelmed already because you don't have the right things on your to-do list, and you're moving the needle for someone else, or because you're expected to do it, or because somebody told you should do it, or you're comparing yourself to the next business owner down the street, well, he does this, I should do this. No, if it doesn't feel in your heart like it's right, if you can't lead with your head and your heart like that, and you can't figure out what priorities are for you are going to be critical for you to complete today, that are also going to be, you see yourself doing them in the next 5 years, or it's getting you to a specific goal in the next 5 years, maybe you're learning a new skill, then why are you doing them? Why are you doing them? I have to ask myself all the time, literally. I had this podcast opportunity come up from these people that I met. I was hosted on the podcast, and then I was told that I'd be a great, I might be able to come on there and actually host a podcast for this. And I had to really like look at, what do I want to be doing in 5 years? I had to go back and like think about that shit. And I coach people this, right? But I'm actually doing it. I need to still do it. It's a constant thing. It doesn't just go away. You don't just become high performing and then it's done. No, there's all these sorts of factors are coming at, all sorts of opportunities. And sometimes they're really great opportunities like that, right? It's like, yeah, I freaking love that. I love to talk. Obviously, I'm here talking right now. I would love to like be able to just spread my mission to other people in a podcast, because I'd be able to touch so many people. But is that the right thing for me right now? Or is it just another thing that's floating around that needs to be put attention to? But can I really put full attention to that right now? I don't know. I have a lot on my plate right now. I have a lot going on. I'm working with Western Michigan University to get this curriculum into the school, for example. Like I have a lot of things up my sleeve that I'm really, really like working on slowly and diligently, because I know that eventually they're going to come. But I need to be able to put time to those things now, because but they all represent my mission. But it's like, how many things can I actually do that are going to represent my mission? Really, you have to dial it back a second. You have to get clear on your aim. You have to get clear on what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you're not clear, then you can spend all the time in the world working on a podcast, but if it's not in line with what you really want to do, or you're putting time on that instead of something else that's more in line with you, then you're going to feel unmotivated. You're not going to, because how many people, raise your hand, if you're sitting there today and you're like, man, I'm so unmotivated, or maybe you're super motivated, but you just can't seem to get this thing where you want it to. It's just not what you want it to. You just can't spend enough time on it. Maybe it's the wrong thing, right? Maybe it's the complete wrong thing. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox. Happy Wednesday. I hope that was beneficial for someone that's watching this. Hey Joe, hi Tara. Matt, what's up, Matt? Oh, Tom Groff, what's up? Joy, hi. Give me some comments, like give me some feedback in the comments so I know what you're thinking right now. Was that helpful? Like what do you experience? Where are you struggling? Like what kind of things are you working on right now where you feel like, I really want you to think about the times that you feel unmotivated. Like why really are you unmotivated? Because motivation comes from you. You generate it, right? It doesn't you don't just have motivation or not have oh, that girl's so motivated. I hear that all the time. I'm like, no. I have to work on it. Literally have to work on it diligently. Some days, there's days where I'm so unmotivated and I really have to pull back and be like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is this? What is this feeling? I need to take some self-care time. Maybe I wasn't giving myself enough self-care during the week, or maybe I fried myself, or I didn't get enough sleep, or I need to get a workout in if I'm off, or whatever, like something to get my mind right, because something's not right to where I'm not motivated. And a lot of times it's because of clarity, or it's because your physical or mental vibrancy is off. But you all know, like, relationships are a huge part of that. How many of you know that when you get into a fight with your husband, or you get into a tiff with your son or whatever, or you're worried about somebody, how much that affects your physical, mental state? It does. And that is directly related to what you get done in the day, period. So you got to be able to manage that. And that's where self-mastery comes in. That's where high performance coaching comes in. That's why having a coach is so critical, because I get to pinpoint those things on you and be like, you're acting a fool right now. Why are you acting like that? We need to figure that out. Is it something that has to do with clarity? Is it a relationship? Is there an underlying like doubt that you have about yourself? Do you think that you're worth it? I had that come up the other day. Whew, that's a tough one. I had some tears on a call the other day. Like, do you think that you're worth it? The answer was no. She didn't think that she was worth it. And that's why she was having so much resistance towards doing this particular thing and this particular project in her business. It was because she didn't think that she's worth it. So we have to be able to raise that self-worth. I could talk about this shit all day. So if you're still watching, I'm just going to keep talking. But when you talk about self-worth, which is a huge component, right? We've all been through trauma. Every single person that's watching me right now, and myself included, has been through some type of trauma in their lives. Like, it's not just one here and there. It's everybody has experienced something that tends to creep back up as we get older. That's something where that's for a therapist, obviously, right? But there's a lot of things that come up that I can work with too, in terms of future pacing you, to really like put you back into the future and pull you out of the past, because typically we like to live in the past more than we really like to admit. But even so, think of yourself as a thermometer, right? Your thermometer is always set at like room temp, right? About room temp. There's like a temperature that your body likes or that your self-worth is at, right? Or your confidence is at, or your, I don't know. There's so many things I could say, but anyway, you get my drift. Like you have this temperature. So as soon as that temperature goes up, right, and your self-worth goes up a little bit, your body generally wants to take it back to where it feels neutral and where it's been for a while, because it likes that consistency. But the only way that you can raise your level of self-worth and self-confidence is if you start to raise it yourself. You have to set a new standard. You have to set a new standard to that, and you have to figure out the solutions for you to do that. I can't tell you one thing that's going to happen, but like, what could you do to raise your level of confidence in something? A lot of times it has to do with competence, right? Because we talk in high performance about this confidence competence loop. And so if you are not confident in something, then get better competence in it. Get better at the skill. And then all of a sudden you come back, now you're more confident. Okay, now you're not as confident again. You just keep raising your standard to what confidence and competence feels like. Because if you don't feel confident, like public speaking, for example, the more you do it, just like you would tell your kids to go play hockey, the more you do it, the more you hit the puck, the better you're going to get at it. You have to put that out there though. You have to get more stuff under the belt in order to feel more confident and to reset and recalibrate what your confidence is. It's the same thing with self-worth. Like, why do you not feel worth? What's happened in the past? Like, when did you feel like you had a high self-worth? And what was going on at that time? Because there's certain things that you could probably pull back in today that would help you reset that. But a lot of the decisions that I see clients making, especially in business, it comes from personal growth. It comes from their ability to make decisions. Decisions means to cut. But when there's lack of confidence, when there's doubt, right? We feel unmotivated. We don't want to make the decisions. We avoid certain decisions. And then all of a sudden you don't move forward and you feel stuck. And you feel overwhelmed sometimes. That's like a little bit different, but you still like, it's that same feeling of just like resistance. You know what I mean when I say resistance? Anyway. All right. Have an awesome day. I'm out of here. I will see y'all soon. Have an awesome week and stay safe in the snow. Ciao.